Whoa. Alright, here we go. Here we go, everybody. Welcome in. Let's see. Let's get the few. Alright, there we go. Alrighty, let's see who jumps on in today. Welcome in for the first few people that joined. We just started the live 10 seconds ago, so we're waiting for some people to come in. You guys can feel free to throw any questions down below. All are welcome. I've been running my coaching practice for the last year. I've helped over 100 men and women transform their lives. So we're here to help you guys out too. So welcome in, everybody. Hyper said, should I go for it? Depends what it is, but if it's something ambitious, something that's going to create a lot of positivity in your life, most definitely. Alrighty. Welcome in, everybody. Good morning. It's good evening for me. Who's got the first few questions? Let's dive into it. I'm excited. My day always gets better after I talk to you guys. Maximo, what's going on? Welcome back in from last night. Let me, there we go. Alrighty, so, first question of the day. How to be more social? Well, first you want to acknowledge where you're feeling stuck. Like, what pillar, what area of your life does it feel like you can't improve upon? Because feeling like you can't do something, which is like being more social, I'm afraid of people, you want to analyze where does that fear come from? Because sometimes the fear comes from a place that is irrational. It comes from a place in which you've never been able to truly tap into it yet, so it's simply uncertain because you haven't experienced it yet. Or you haven't experienced true connection with people, you've only experienced negative experiences or people judging you, so that's what your mind equates to people as, and it's like, okay, let's become more introverted, let's be closed down, let's not have in-depth conversations because it's a protective mechanism. So you want to do some reflection, Maximum, on like what in my past started to create this for me. That's a really good starting place. Obviously, there's tons of other things that go into this, but that's a really good starting place you can kind of dive into. All right. Let's see. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Yeah, we usually got a lot more people in by now. What's going on? All right, question. How can I overcome my past failures because I think they're holding me back? Big Arian. Yeah, you could ask a question. Any questions are welcome, guys. Welcome in, everybody. How can I overcome my past failures because I think they're holding me back? Well, if your past failures are holding you back, they are not past failures. They feel like current ones still. Why? Because they're still affecting you, right? They're living in your subconscious. Now, here's the question. Are you able to forgive yourself for this? How do you move past it? These are the components that you really want to dive into, because moving past these and understanding that the identity that you held in the past doesn't have to be the same identity that you still hold now. So you don't have to stay in the same place where you're stuck, right? So analyze exactly what the past failures are. Am I worried about still doing those again, or is it just the fact that I did them? Which component am I holding on to? All right, let's see. Got some more questions coming in. What's a life coach? So essentially, I run my self-development coaching practice. We work on insecurities, confidence, passion, creativity, relationships, communication, dating. I do a lot of stuff for my life coaching practice. Is that a new type of furniture? I don't think so. How can I overcome 9 to 10 years of bullying that affects me? That's actually a really good question, because I felt like I was decently bullied when I was younger too. How to overcome 9 to 10 years of this? Well, yeah, it's going to ingrain itself in you. I'm not safe around people. So here's what you want to do. Start to initiate conversations with strangers. Because at this point, people are not going to bully you. They're actually going to be open to having a conversation. What's going on, everybody on YouTube? We got TikTok over here. So people aren't going to judge you as much as you think they are. So start just asking people how their day is going, walking past them, having very brief conversations, and you realize it's not everybody is safe, of course. If you feel like there's somebody's a bad person and they have weird energy, stay away from them. But the average person, you could just have a quick conversation and they'll entertain that. And that'll make your brain go into, hey, I'm safe to have conversations. I'm safe to be in a space where I'm holding it with other people, and I'm not going, the things that happened to me for 10 years straight, it doesn't need to keep happening. And then you start to rewire your brain. You feel a lot more in tune with yourself, and it's a very beautiful experience, because I experienced this when I was younger too. It's a really good question. All right, what do I do if there's a baddie in my econ class and, hold on one second, a baddie in my econ class, and she's willing to study together, and I'm locked in. Yo, that's goated, man. She's willing to study together, go study together, focus on the material, and if the material isn't the most interesting thing for both of you guys, there's some other stuff that can happen. There's a bunch of stuff you could dive into here. But welcome in, everybody. Hi, Brad. What's going on, Onel? Welcome in, everybody, to the live. What should I do on Saturday? Okay, Jade. I know we were going back and forth in the DMs. We're gonna have to dive into that in there. We can't because of the topic. We can't talk about it on here. How to be more influent. What do you mean influent? Meaning influence people. That's a really good question. I actually made a video on this on TikTok to this morning. How to influence people more? You have to connect to your soul. What do I want to inspire people to do? Is it be more happy, be more content, find their purpose? Maybe I want to challenge people in their beliefs and in getting them to rewire their brain, right? Establish how do I want to influence people? What do I want them to feel? Who do I want them to be? What motivation do I want to give them? And first, give that to yourself. Once you give it to yourself and you embody that into your identity and how you present yourself every day, it becomes very easy to present that to other people because you're not trying to present yourself. You're not putting on a mask, playing a character. You're simply just expressing who you are authentically. Then influencing people becomes easy. For example, me influencing you guys on here. Some of you guys, 2 people came in live yesterday. Hey, the advice you gave me the other day on the live, I applied it and now I'm feeling so much better. It's like, I love to hear that. That's awesome, right? But I influenced them to do that. Right? It's like I'm just speaking from the heart and my mind and integrating both of them when I'm giving you guys advice. If you can do that for yourself in your own life, in your own personal experiences, for your habits, the things you're struggling with, you're trying to build in your life, doing it for other people becomes natural. And then you are able to help everybody else become influenced by yourself, but first you have to influence yourself first. I had to follow you. You're a good person. Hey, appreciate you. Appreciate you jumping in. You're the GOAT. You're my goat. Thanks for the answer. Yeah, of course, man. Welcome in. Yeah, and Big Rian, if you're new here, feel free to shoot me a follow. Would love to see you guys back here. We've sold the Constitution down the river in the name of safety. Can't fully disagree with that, but we don't talk about politics on here. Hi, I'm currently feeling mentally tired from school. Started taking about 1 to 2 absences a week. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, school can get very mentally draining. I personally hated school my entire life, but you want to connect to the vision here, right? If I just pursue a little bit more through my schooling experience, if I'm able to get past this, what does this lead to? Whether it's a degree, whether it's being able to start a business, going into a job that I actually then care about, right? Allowing yourself to push through the difficult times now so there can be beauty later in life. But I'm not talking about 5 years later in life. I'm talking about very shortly from now. And connecting to that vision can be exceptionally important, and having the things that feel bad right now actually not be as bad for yourself, if that makes sense. I guess I have found being more connected in the world, being omnist, believing in every religion, but you're still learning. Yeah, I'm not a part of a particular religion. I dive into different concepts, different philosophies all the time. I like to be very expansive with it. Lastly, how can I become more gracious towards people? Let's see. How can I be more gracious towards people? Because currently I'm cold towards them. Well, if you're cold towards people, it's most likely because people have been cold to you in the past. So unconsciously, you are punishing people who you don't even know yet. People who didn't treat you badly, but your brain's like, this is a protective. We have to protect ourselves. And by protecting ourselves, I have to be cold to people. I can't be honest with them. I can't be authentic. I can't be vulnerable. I can't be open because then they're going to use it against me just like they did in the past. Turns out, sometimes the brain is flawed in the way that we have our perception wired sometimes. Sometimes the way we view other people and the things they're going to do to us, they never were actually going to do that. It was just us projecting that onto that. So here's the question. The people I'm being cold towards, do I have any actual reason to do that? Or is it just me projecting that from the past? If you're just projecting it from the past, you can now understand how would I want people to interact with me? What would I want them to say? What questions would I want them to ask? Start doing that for people when you meet them, and you'll be able to integrate this just fine. So Rika, these are good questions. Appreciate you jumping in. Islander, hey, what's going on? Welcome in, everybody. How can I make my crush like me? It's a good question. You can't make your crush like you, right? When it comes to attraction, when it comes to dating, when it comes to your sexuality, you don't try to make people, you only invite them to. You can't force anybody to do these things, right? So getting your crush to like you is having a conversation with them, flirting with them, see if they reciprocate that. If they don't, back off. Go find somebody else that you care about that actually cares about you. I have a good, VLT said, I have a good question. Why TF? Would anyone need a life coach? It's a good question. So I help people with confidence, insecurities, past patterns that they're stuck with, building habits, communicating effectively in their relationships, finding a relationship, connecting to their values, connecting to their creativity, their soul, the deep components of life, facing the dark parts of yourself. I do a lot of things in my coaching practice that really help people transform their lives. So that's why people would need a life coach at certain times. Let's see. You seem to be a clever guy. Appreciate you. What's going on, Nate? Thanks, bro. Yeah, of course. Let's see. Why am I rude at home and nice to strangers? That's a good question. If you feel like you're rude at home and nice to strangers, maybe the people that you're living with, whether it be your parents or your siblings, maybe there's certain things that your parents said to you a week ago or a year ago, and you're holding that against them. You haven't forgiven them for it that way, and now you're just unconsciously kind of rude to them about everything because maybe you don't trust them anymore. So those are things if you haven't had that conversation about the thing that you feel stuck with them on, start to have that conversation, even if it's a difficult one, and then you'll start to find you're being nice to everybody, including yourself. Um, could also be that there's a lot of internal struggle going on, and you feel safe expressing that to people in your home rather than other people. So you're nice to other people, but you're rude to the people you care about, right? So it's kind of like this weird dynamic, but you can confront it. Let's see, who's next? Who's next? Yeah, that's a really good question. Why 4? If you're really dealing with that, shoot me a follow and a DM about it. I'll dive into it with you further. How can I understand a relationship with a leaning condition? Is the answer how? I don't know. Can you rephrase that question? Um, let's see. All right, welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Please play the song Hope. We don't play random songs on here. We give advice, but appreciate the recommendation. Welcome in, everybody. Jelly on YouTube said 3 things necessary for love: attraction, common interests, and proximity. Those are definitely 3 essential pillars, absolutely. Dorsey said I'm handsome. I have a beautiful relationship with my girlfriend, but I appreciate that. Let's see. All right, how can I be truly vulnerable with myself and actually forgive myself for all of my past mistakes? Well, here's the thing. You already have the answer, right? It's like, hey, I know I have to be vulnerable with myself. How do I start to do this? Here's the thing. The top 3 concepts, beliefs, past experiences that you feel like you haven't been able to process, pick up a journal, a pen and paper, and write it down. Start talking about it with yourself. Or go on a walk for an hour and think about that. And allow yourself to expand with it. Don't just beat yourself up for it. Say like, hey, how do I really feel about this? Why is this continuing to persist? If I were to shift it in my life, a lot of the times the answers are already internally, right? So the thing is that to be truly vulnerable with yourself is to ask yourself the uncomfortable questions. Why do I believe this? Why am I keeping myself in the same place? Why do I still feel stuck? Right? And how much of this is based on the past, and how much of it is based on my expectations of what I think the future is going to be based on that past? You'll find some answers that are really interesting that come up there if you give yourself some space. A lot of us we just don't give ourselves space, right? We're just running around, working all the time. I've been noticing this for myself recently. I'm just working all the time. I'm just like, where am I? Like, I'm not. I literally was about to go to bed last night, and I just stared at my wall for about 30 seconds, and I'm like, I haven't been truly here in weeks. Like, I've just been going. Right, so you got to give yourself space. Same thing with being more vulnerable and open with yourself, these reflection points. You have to give yourself some presence, just like you do in every other area of life. Jalan, welcome back in. What books to read this 2026? If you're starting self-development, I'd recommend Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins and The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Those are some really good ones to start. How to get over a phobia. Mar, I appreciate you diving into this. It depends what phobia it is. Depends on where it stemmed from. Depends on how long it's been going on. Because, for example, I'm definitely afraid of heights. But there's certain areas of overcoming that height fear that I can experience, like going skiing. Even though I'm on top of the mountain, I feel a little bit more safe in other areas. Like I won't go on a roller coaster, but I'll go down water slides. Right? It's like find little ways to start to understand this part of you and face it. It's kind of like exposure therapy. You don't have to go and do the most maximum uncomfortable thing, but get yourself slowly into these uncomfortable spaces that actually lead to your growth. And you realize a lot of the things you're afraid of, not that there's no real reason to be afraid of it, but there's certain realms that you realize like, hey, this isn't as bad as I thought it would be. It's my avoidance of this thing entirely that makes me so fearful of it, because I'm afraid of it. I'm further distancing myself. So anytime it gets closer, it's like, let me get further away. But if you just experience it in a small capacity, you might start to feel a little bit more in tune with yourself. Therefore, that experience too, and not be as afraid. Alejandro said you didn't like Bad Bunny, question mark. I didn't even watch the Super Bowl. What's the hardest thing you've done that has been the hard? Paris. So a lot of you guys ask for advice on here and ask questions about obviously what you guys are going through. I don't get that many questions for myself, but Paris is a good question. I'll answer it for you. What's the thing you've done that has been hardest to forgive yourself for? The first thing comes up to my mind. I was in a relationship with a girl for a year and a half. Now, for the first 8 months of that relationship, we weren't officially together, so I saw other women. Here was my excuse. I told her about these other women. I was never dishonest with her about it. Maybe one time I was. Other than that, I was pretty open with her. I knew she didn't like it. I knew it felt like it ate her alive inside, but I was in high school and I'm like, let me do it anyway. And me and this girl hung out like 4 or 5 times a week. We were really close with each other and I cared about her. But I was still in the phase of like, I want to be with other girls. So I was. And then we actually got into a relationship together, and then we're together for like another maybe 7 months, and we were fighting a lot because she could never forgive me, even though because she was always worried I was going to cheat on her. Because even though I didn't technically cheat on her since we weren't officially together before, she was always afraid that that part of me never changed. Now that being said, I made a decision to myself that I wanted to be with her genuinely, and I wasn't going to seek out other women, and I wasn't. But I can understand why she never forgave me for that, and that was one of the many reasons as to how I destroyed that relationship. And for about a year after that, I didn't talk to any women. I went from, having the main chick and 3 side girls or 4 side girls and going back and forth to like, I need to isolate myself. That there's something wrong with me. I need to figure this out. And so I did that. And a year later, I then got into another toxic relation. Not another, but I got into a toxic relationship. All my insecurities came up and that almost felt like it destroyed me. So I had to learn a ton through that. So it was very difficult for me to forgive myself. For you could say the manipulation that I casted towards her. PA, appreciate the gift. But Paris, it's a really good question. That was one of the things that was hardest to forgive myself for. I have 4 Fs. I'm a 9th grader in high school. I'm actually going to start crying. I'm failing. Well, the question is, why do you have Fs? Are you distracting yourself? Are you being lazy? There's a bunch of different components we could dive into here. Do I like seals? Yeah, they're pretty cool. Tran said, love the way you give helpful advice. Did you study psychology? I didn't study psychology in university, but I've been studying psychology on my own time for like the last 7 years of my life. Let's see. Someone on YouTube is asking the same question in about 5 forms. Was your father there when you were growing up? Did you spend a lot of time with your father? Are your mother and father still married? Do you and your father and mother actually love each other? The answer to all those questions is yes. And he said another toxic relationship, lol. Welcome in, everybody. How to focus on our personal growth while looking for a relationship, it like takes up my whole mind. Yeah, Evermore, this is a really good question. So the cool thing is that relationships in of themselves are one of the most transformational personal growth experiences you'll ever have in your entire life. During your relationships, there's going to be insecurities that came up that you didn't know exist. Certain beliefs about certain things that you have that you didn't know exist. Certain values and confrontations that you have that you didn't know would exist, right? So just the fact of looking for a relationship and dating and being that experience is focused on personal growth. Don't separate the two. But when it comes to integrating your habits and your vision for your life, like your relationship partner will care about your vision too and help you build it, right? So it's not about separating these two, because if you view them as separate things, then yes, it's hard to pick one. Morph them as one. Personal growth and relationships are the same thing. But Evermore, if you're trying to figure out how to integrate that for yourself, shoot me a follow and shoot me a DM about this. We'll love to dive into it with you. All right. What should I focus on during my teen life? I think one of the biggest things you should dive into is, what are my values? How do I connect to them? What do I want to build in my life? What do I really care about? How do I want to make an impact for myself and in this world? And do I want to go to university? Do I want to start a business? Do I just want to get a job after high school? These are things you want to start thinking about now, so you're not 18 like most people going off to university. They're like, why am I even doing this? I have no vision for my life. You want to start to think about this stuff now. All right, let's see. Did you lock in after breakup and focus on yourself, or jump into another relationship? Yeah, so in that particular relationship, I spent a year, about a little less than a year, single, not being with any women. So I definitely locked in on myself at that point, absolutely. Let's see. Goat on live. Appreciate you, PA. Overthinking. How to stop. Okay. Well, the question is, what are you overthinking about? Because here's what I want you guys to recognize. Overthinking oftentimes isn't just overthinking. Like, oh, I'm just thinking. Right? Yes, you are, but there's a reason for that. Have you asked yourself why? When you start to overthink, you always ask yourself, oh, how do I stop overthinking? Well, no, wait. Why am I overthinking? Why are these deep destructive thoughts coming up? Why do I feel stuck? Why do I feel like I can't handle this? Where's the origination of these ruminating thoughts? That you want to dive into, because you're overthinking because you're avoiding something. You're overthinking because you want to find an answer, but you don't know how to find that answer, right? So you want to identify, what is it that I'm overthinking about, and what am I avoiding because that's why you're thinking so deeply about it. Your mind is trying to get you to pay attention to this thing that you are rejecting. Stop rejecting it, and that'll be a good place to start. And IXRK, I know you already follow me. If you want to shoot me a DM about this, would love to dive into it further with you. All right, Reiki said, hold on, we have YouTube over there. I'm going to get to one of YouTube's questions as well. I'll come right back to you, TikTok, don't worry. It's a psychology question I ask everyone. Either it will rip a bandage off a deep wound, possibly destroy their brain, or sound people will answer with confidence and poise. Yeah, go ahead, ask the question. Is it wrong if I cut things off with someone if they show similar patterns as an ex-partner? Well, here's the thing. It depends on what the patterns are, right? Because somebody could remind you of your ex-partner that didn't treat you well, and maybe it's just one small component that's not actually going to destroy your relationship, and you just project that it will, right? So that's definitely a possibility. So one thing deeper that you really want to dive into here is it something that is actually going to destroy it, or is this a minor thing that I'm overthinking about? Also, don't be afraid to have a conversation with this person about that pattern and about their relationship with that part of themselves to see how it's creating itself in your relationship, because don't just run away. Like, have a conversation with them about it. Obviously, if they can't have a conversation, they refuse to. That's a different story. But you definitely want to dive into that. Dive into it with them. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's see. What is the most valuable thing in this life? Probably time, the present moment. This moment that we all have and we're sharing right now, we will never get this back, right? This is only here right now. So that's something that's exceptionally valuable that a lot of us forget about. We're moving all the time, we're building all the time, we're working all the time, we're doing things all the time that we feel stuck with. So give some time to yourself. How do I move on from a friendship being over? Well, you have to connect to the reason as to why it ended. And why in many cases it needed to end. In many cases, this is going to benefit you both. Because if a relationship ended, if it didn't work out, then the reason for that is because it serves both of you better to not be in that relationship. So even though you may feel some pain right now, process that pain, experience the sadness, go through it, and at the end of it, you see the light, and then you start to connect with people who you're truly connected to, and you don't have to as many times go through experiences where you're losing a friend because you guys just naturally connect with each other, and you know why. All right, let's see. Do you think healing after a relationship should be done alone? Healing after a relationship, not all of it has to be alone. Like, you can process things with a friend or with a family member or in conversation. But if you're trying to heal after a relationship by experiencing other people romantically, that's when you're avoiding it, and that's when you're not processing it. So there is a lot of alone time, reflection, journaling, going on walks. But I'm not sitting here and saying do it alone, isolate yourself in your room. Just give yourself space to really reflect and see what you truly need to learn about this experience. Haley said I texted you back. Sounds good. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I went through the most intense law course at Oxford, and now it's finished. I feel empty, so weird. Okay, Don, I know you already follow me, but feel free to shoot me a DM about this, but let's start to address it now here as well. You went through the most intense law courses at Oxford. From what I've heard about Oxford, it's a pretty well-known university, right? So here's the expectation you have. I'm going through one of the most intense law courses. I'm a very intelligent person. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Another aspect, the university that means so much. People care about the name. Another expectation. And now that you finished it, you feel empty. It's weird because you didn't have a vision for what would come after this. Of why am I doing this? Do I really care about the name? Do I even care about the course itself? Maybe you do. But the question is, what are the deeper things here that you haven't established for yourself? That's why you feel lack of connection. You did it just to do it. Because especially if you're a very intelligent individual, then you've been told your entire life, oh, you're so intelligent, you have to go to Oxford. You're so intelligent, you got to study law. You're so intelligent, you got to do this. And now you're like, well, in order to be intelligent, I have to do what these people tell me. So then you do that, and you realize you never found yourself. So that being said, that doesn't mean this was the wrong path for you. It just means you have to do some deeper reflection on what is really here for you. How can you make a practical plan for this year for many goals like studying, relaxing, and working? Okay, yeah, so you can set certain financial goals. You can set certain time frames on certain goals. The most important thing is to establish, what are my top 3 priorities, right? What are my non-negotiables that I need to get done on a weekly basis? spend the most amount of time doing that. And once you establish the top three, all the other things, you kind of realize where the priorities lie. Okay, I only need to do this task and have it one time a week. It kind of grounds me a little bit. You don't need as much time for relaxation as you think you do if you truly care about the work and studying that you're doing. Right? If you really connect to the vision, you can study and work more than you relax. That being said, give yourself some amount of space every single day to relax. Whether it's like a whole hour or 2 hours, or it's simply 15 minutes of meditation or grounding yourself or giving yourself something you care about. Shadow, I appreciate the gift on YouTube. So that's one thing that you can dive into, and there's a lot of components for this. And Tran, you're asking some really good questions. If you want to shoot me a follow, I would love to see you back in here. And if you want to shoot me a DM about this, we could dive into the DMs, and you could throw me over some stuff. Hey, not sure what my priorities are, and we could just have a conversation about it and kind of work it out. Harlan, sorry I didn't answer your message. No worries. W for looking at my messages. Yep, I respond to everyone. Bro, how do you know so much? You're literally giving some great advice here. I appreciate that. I've been studying this stuff for the last 7 to 8 years of my life. I started my self-development journey when I was 16, and I never stopped. You make things sound so easy to fix. Well, I mean, look, Haley, not everything is super... Hey, what's going on, Joe? Appreciate the gift. I make things sound so easy to fix. I try to give you guys practical, actionable steps. Because, look, at the end of the day, there are simplistic things that you can start. The situation may be very complicated, but the action step to start it isn't. It's just sometimes our lack of commitment or just not knowing what the step is that makes us feel stuck and spiral for 10 years, right? So I like to help you guys out with that. But I appreciate you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. 6 days sober. That's awesome. That's awesome stuff. All right. Let's see. Can you give your YouTube audience some attention? Yeah, there's so many troll comments on YouTube. But so Eric said, how can I learn to trust people again? How to learn to trust people again? You have to first understand that the reason you don't trust people is because of particular experiences. Now, you want to revisit those experiences and see exactly why you don't trust people. And also, sometimes the reason you don't trust people is because you also don't trust yourself to be honest and authentic and extroverted. So then you don't trust them because you just have your perception of yourself and your own identity and think that expands to everybody else, even though it doesn't. Kind of like the world revolves around you, although in some cases the world does revolve around us. But analyze where that lack of trust began, and then you'll be able to see that component of how that person treated you, what they did in that experience, does not exist in every single person, right? And then when you start to have more conversations with more people on a casual basis, you start to actually integrate this and heal yourself and start to trust people a little bit more as you trust yourself. So that's a good place to start. My girlfriend doesn't like my affection. Every time I try to be nice, she'll say, gross, any advice? If your girlfriend doesn't like you giving her affection, and anytime you're nice, she says it's gross, there's probably some deep insecurities that are going on with her where she doesn't know how to receive love, and she doesn't feel like she deserves it. You guys, I don't know how old you guys are, Pizza Slice on YouTube. Are you guys like 14 and 15 years old? Because if you're any older than that, this is going to be something that's going to really get in the way. Now, if you guys are 14 and 15, then people are still understanding themselves. JD, let's see. Hold on one second, guys. How do you deal with high inhibition / anxiety preventing me from being a functioning person? Well, the question is, have you investigated where the anxiety comes from? What specific situations it comes up for? Are you trying to create such big tasks for yourself that you paralyze yourself and it's like, oh my God, this is too much? Because trying to go from feeling stuck to doing everything at once, it doesn't work. That's what you're trying to do. Break this down to the smallest possible action step. I'll give you an example. If it takes you 3 hours to get out of bed after your alarm goes off, use that as a random example. Don't try and go from takes me 3 hours to get out of bed to let's wake up the second my alarm gets out. Go from 3 hours to 2.5 hours. Seems like such a small jump, but it's like, what's the point of me even doing this? Well, the point of you doing it is to work yourself down to the goal you have, because you can't do it instantaneously. So that's going to be a good place to start. But also, JD, if you want to shoot me a follow and a direct message about where the anxiety is coming up for you, I'd love to dive into it with you. I love someone so much, sometimes I really annoy him. I mean, me and my girlfriend love each other so much at such a crazy capacity too, but if you annoy them by loving them so much, it might be because they don't have that same love for you. It could also be in the way you're presenting yourself. I don't know what the situation is here. Leslie said, "Are you the coach or my date?" Definitely the coach, because I'm in a very fulfilling relationship with my girlfriend. Um, let's see. Hello, I subbed. Appreciate you, Blue. Welcome in. Is it healthy to keep friends and family in the dark when I'm in need of assistance? Is that damaging? Well, it depends if you trust your family and friends, right? Because maybe there's certain people in your family that you're supposed to trust, but maybe you don't trust your dad for some reason. Maybe he did something that truly allows you to see, hey, I don't know if I could trust him. That can be valid. But that being said, you probably have some family member or some friend that could be there for you. So, now that being said, it can be very isolating when you then isolate yourself voluntarily more. Sometimes you need a certain level of isolation, but not 24/7. That can keep you stuck. For myself, a part of the reason as to why I was depressed from 13 to 16 and I felt stuck for those 3 years straight is because I was not open to receiving help. I was not open to being honest with people. I was not open to growing, right? I wasn't open to this stuff. So that kept, and you could say damaged me more in some capacity. Um, let's see. I just unfollowed Deepak Chopra, who used to be my life coach. I don't know why. Um, let's see. Next question. Have I ever gone through heartbreaks? I've been through a lot of heartbreaks. Many, many. So if you're struggling with that, would love to help you out with it. He was gifted with extreme common sense. I got betrayed by my own family multiple times. Dating helps a lot to forget and learn and trust, but expansive. Okay, well, it's good that dating is healing this for you. But if you're being betrayed by your own family, oh, multiple exes, that's what you said. Okay, have you healed any of the family stuff? Because the family wounds are sometimes a little bit difficult, a little bit different than the romantic love and things of that nature. All right, let's see. WOT is your love language, Brad. What is WOT? I don't know what's WOT short for. What do I do when I'm overstimulated about university pressure? Well, university pressure, you're probably talking about expectations. These expectations came from people, and if they came from people and implanted themselves in your mind, you can take them and cast them away. So find what works for you. Find the studying process. If someone might say if you're in university, you gotta study for 8 hours a day, and if you're not, you're gonna fail, and then you're not gonna get your dream job. Stop listening to that, and say, hey, what's the studying amount that works for me? How do I want to structure my days? How do I create balance between working very hard and being ambitious and peace? You have to integrate those two. So, Emma, if you're struggling to do that, shoot me a follow and shoot me a DM about this. I'd love to dive into it with you. JD said, anything social related, not obvious root cause, so I haven't been able to fix it. Yeah, JD, if it's not an obvious root cause, shoot me a DM about it. We'll dive into it. Sonico, what's going on? Yo, Brad, nice to see you again. How are you? Doing a lot better now. I will say the last week or two, I've just been feeling a little bit all over the place in my life, a little disconnected, not so present. So you guys help me kind of ground myself a little bit down, so that's awesome. And my sessions too. It's suspect it might be something genetic and neurochemical. Well, it could possibly be that, and it could also just be something that you're unaware of at this current moment in time. Is it a bad thing to fall in love with a coworker? A lot of people say it is, but if this is the person that's genuinely going to be like, so a lot of people meet their husbands and wives at work. This is not a bad thing. So if you fall in love with a coworker, if it ends badly and you have to work together still, then it might not feel great, right? And you got to see each other all the time. But if this becomes your wife or husband or somebody you date long term, then it can be an exceptionally beautiful thing. Let's see. JC. Oh, what's going on, Jordan? Do you want to be a content creator full time? No. I run my coaching practice now. I do that full time. So content creating is just kind of like not a side thing. It's the same thing. Coaching and content creation, it just feeds directly into each other. Let's see. No, I tried so much, but it's impossible. And last month I got betrayed by my brother. Okay, yeah. There's a lot of stuff that's going on here. Hugo, if you want to shoot me a follow and a DM about this stuff, there's going to be a lot for us to unpack. Am I Christian? I'm not. Damn, same thing. I have to apply to university. Let's say I like a girl and she shows some level of interest back, but then when I find that we have different views. Well, here's the thing. If you like a girl and then you start a conversation and realize you have different views and your values don't align, you didn't actually like her, you just found her physically attractive. There's a difference. How to act when visiting a partner's house. I'm gonna go to my boyfriend's place Sunday. I'm a little nervous. Well, yeah. Here's the thing. Do not put on a face. Do not try to be somebody you're not. Think about it like this. Let's say you are. Maybe you don't know if you're gonna be with your boyfriend for the rest of your life or not. Maybe this is a new relationship. But let's just hypothetically say you're with your boyfriend for the rest of your life. And yes, you want to make a good first impression on their parents, but at the same time, how can I just be me and present myself authentically? Smile when I feel like smiling, and listing the things that I believe, having an authentic conversation. Just do that and you'll be just fine, because you want to show them who you actually are, not try and put on a mask and be somebody you're not as this for the sake of impressing them. Because then that mask breaks and then it's like, oh, who was this person that I originally met? People do that in relationships all the time. They pretend to be somebody else at the beginning of the relationship, and then 6 months down the line, a year down the line, after they get married, they're like, you weren't the woman I married. You weren't the man I married. It's like, well, yes, they were the man and the woman you married. They just hid that part of themselves. So don't hide that part of yourself. It's the best way to avoid situations like that. You're my man. I need help. There's a girl I am saying, but I don't really have feelings for her. I'm seeing her for the 6th month. You've been seeing her for 6 months. You don't know if you have feelings for her. Are you dating her, or this is just like a friend? What's the situation here? Alfie, what's going on? What do you do, coach? So we focus on self-growth, advancing your relationships, growing spiritually. That's what I do in my coaching practice, and what we're doing on here too. I feel like I'm gonna say, yeah, Hugo. We can't answer that question on live just because of the nature of the question. So shoot me a follow and a DM about that. I'd love to dive into it with you. Can a man fall in love with a married woman, and why? Well, yeah, marriage is hopefully a spiritual union, not just a legal union based on documents. But if you fall in, you can technically have feelings for a married woman. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to. The question is, why are you attaching yourself, and why are you having so many conversations with somebody who's married? That's the question. Because sometimes you unconsciously feel like you don't deserve love and somebody to truly be with you and only you. So then you start to try and take people away from their committed relationships as a result to try and soothe your own needs, because you feel like people are going to screw you over. So that's where this can stem from. So Miss All Right, this is the situation you're going through. Shoot me a follow, shoot me a DM about this. I'd love to dive into it with you. Toji said, what do you suggest for height insecurity, even though I'm 6'1" because of height inflation? What do you mean height inflation? What is height inflation? You're 6'1" because of height inflation. So how tall are you actually? I've met his parents, but I've never actually been to his house. If you met his parents already, there's nothing different here, right? You just act the same way you did around his parents, and you're just in a different location, right? You don't got to blimp it up to this giant event, right? It's not as big as you may think it is. Everything is Broken podcast. What's going on? Am I wealthy, healthy, and happy? I'm working on it. We're all working on it. We're all doing it together. Let's see. Brad, thanks for the advice. I've got to go to work soon. Hopefully I'll catch you next session. Sounds good. Appreciate you jumping in. Awesome questions. What's this live about? It says it right here at the top of the screen. She cheated on you yesterday. I'm sorry to hear that. How long are you guys together? And do you have an idea of why she cheated? What's the topic of discussion? Do you guys see the topic? Can someone comment down below? Do you guys see this up here where it says self-growth, dating, relationship, spirituality? I want to make sure you guys see this, because you guys usually see it when you comment. You were together for a year. Do you have an idea of why they cheated? Or have you had a conversation with them about it yet? Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Any questions? Oh yeah, YouTube. I know you guys don't. Unfortunately, YouTube doesn't have the life coach self-growth thing up there, but TikTok has it. So people on TikTok are asking what we're talking about, but it clearly says it there. For you guys, I know you guys are sometimes a little bit more confused if you're new here. I like your shirt. Button-ups, awesome. I wear them a lot. Yeah, I started to wear these more recently. I always hated them, but I'm like, yeah, they're more comfortable now. What does it mean when a man offers a ride to a married woman who works with him? Are you that married man? Are you that man who's with that married woman? What's the situation here? She said she's going through a rough patch. Okay, yeah, that's an excuse. She's lying to you. If she's going through a rough patch and she cheats on you, that's not what's going on. Women, here's what happens. When you're in a committed relationship and a woman truly loves you, when she's going through a rough patch, she's running to your arms, crying in your arms, and asking you what to do. She just wants to be with you. If she wants to be with other men, she's not just going through a rough patch. It's a lie. But yeah, man, if you're confused on what happened here, if you want to shoot me a follow and a DM about some brief details about your relationship, I'll be able to offer you some clarity on why this really happened so you can start to process it. Sorry to hear that happen. I have a relationship for 5 years with my girlfriend. I have a lot of patience. That's the key. Yeah, patience is very important. But one thing to keep in mind is there's a difference between patience and waiting. Waiting is waiting for somebody to change. Patience is somebody who knows the dysfunction that's going on and they're constantly working on it with you, and you can see the progress being made. Let's see. How to know if a guy likes me back? Start to flirt with him. See if he reciprocates it. How do you deal with someone who's the avoidant type? It makes me question if he loves me or not. Yeah, it can definitely be difficult dating somebody who is avoiding certain conversations, not being open with you. It doesn't mean that they don't love you. It just means they're bad at confrontation. They don't know how to do it. They have a fear of abandonment. So anytime a confrontation comes up, they avoid it. It's a protective mechanism. But in order to have the most healthiest relationship possible, it's really important for you guys to invite them to have more in-depth conversations. You can't force them. Just invite them. And do it in small ways. When you feel like they avoid big conversations, try to start with a small one. See if you can ease into it a little bit with them. And if you're trying to do that more, Lauren, if you want to shoot me a follow and a DM about what the experience is like in this relationship or experience, would love to dive into it with you. Did you hear that Clav got frame mogged by an ASU frat guy? Bro, are you kidding me? Bro got mogged. Oh my god. Bro, who cares? Who cares? But that's a funny comment. Let's see. I have patience with my poppy for 2 years. Very nice. Will you post your live later or it'll stay here? My lives, no, I don't post the full lives. I don't know if I can do that. But I do go live on TikTok 7 days a week. So I'm always going live every day. Juan said, thanks for your advice. Yeah, of course. Juan, if you want to shoot me a follow and a DM, we can definitely dive into this further. What's the process of self-growth? Analyzing where you're at now and analyzing exactly the vision of where you want to go and the small steps to get you there on a consistent basis. Sarah said, do men or women cheat more? I think statistically women cheat more, but it's not really a question of, do men or women cheat more? It's like, hey, why are people cheating? That's the importance here. What are some tips to work on trust and jealousy? April, I appreciate the question. Tips to work on trust and jealousy. Well, jealousy, we may not know this, can actually be communicated without fighting each other on it. Like if you're jealous that your man is hanging out with his friends, tell him. Say like, hey, I'm feeling a little bit needy right now. Like I kind of wish you were just here right now. Right? If you word it like that instead of, oh my god, I can't believe you're going out to see your friends, it's expressing jealousy in a different way, you see? Right? And trusting is like, hey, where did the lack of trust come from? Does it stem within me? Past relationship? Past man in my life? April, feel free to shoot me a follow and a DM about the in-depth experience you're having. Would love to help you out with it. I feel communication is key too. I told my boyfriend about my asexuality before we started dating and it helped. Okay, well that's good. I'm devastated by the frame mog. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. How do I know if a man likes me? I think we already dived into that. You got to flirt with him. Start a conversation. You seem nice. I hope you have a nice girlfriend. Yeah, my girlfriend is more than nice. She is the most perfect person I've ever met in my entire life. Let's see. Hold on. I want to become a... Okay, interesting. appreciate the gift, April. Let's see. You cut ties with family in a healthy way. Okay, well, I'm glad you did it in a healthy way, but I am curious as to why you did it. Stay busy. Don't be jealous. You got to go do something. Let's see. What else? I literally just got broken up with today and need to be talked out of texting him. Sarah, I appreciate you coming here and bringing this. excuse me, if he broke up with you today, then yeah, he probably doesn't want to talk, so don't text him. He made his decision, and not right now, but in a certain period of time from now, you will see as to why that was the best decision for both of you. If he doesn't want you, let him run and ask yourself, why do I need him to stay? Why do I want somebody to stay that doesn't care about me as much as I care about them? And maybe the relationship was dysfunctional and you know that, but you're still attached, right? And it's like, okay, this long run, this is going to be better. But right now, don't run away from the feelings. Don't run away from the experience. Don't run away from the feelings. Allow yourself to be in that space. Does removing yourself from your own toxic family help in healing your own mental health? Yeah, I mean, retro gamer dad. If your family, I don't know what level of toxicity you're talking about in family dynamics, but look, if your family is really that toxic, then yes, it can be healthy to distance yourself from them. But yeah, retro gamer dad, if you are really looking through to try and figure this out for yourself, shoot me a follow and shoot me a DM about what the dynamics are, and we can dive into it together. Luis, how do I improve my anger? So anger, here's one thing. One thing I want you to reflect upon, Luis. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. One thing about anger is a lot of anger is unprocessed sadness. So before you start to see like, hey, why do I even take this anger? How much of my anger is actually just deep pain that I've been avoiding for so long that it's built up to then be rage? Here's another thing. Integrate the anger. Don't try and get rid of it. Go to the gym, right? Hit a punching bag. Do something physical to investigate this deeper while you're reflecting on it. Don't just keep the anger inside. That becomes destructive. Let's see. Let's get this young man to 10K, guys. I appreciate you. Appreciate you very much. Try a rage room. Yeah, actually, I've never done a rage room, but I've seen them before, and I definitely want to. I'll definitely go crazy in there. A lot of anger I didn't even know I had. Welcome in, everybody. Holly Rose on YouTube. This is a good question. What's your take on the red pill, and especially the modern self-help, like men's stuff online? Yeah, so the red pill, years ago when it was created, it used to be about like, hey, let's in a healthy way make more money, attract more women, have better conversations, talk about real aspects of life. The red pill now is really just like, if you're not a millionaire, women won't be attracted to you. If you're not a millionaire, you're not enough. And it's like all this like insecure stuff. So a lot of the red pill stuff nowadays is very destructive. I think it used to mean something though. It used to actually have men be beneficial and like help themselves. Now it just kind of secretly destroys them, which is pretty sad to see how it's kind of gotten into that. You just subscribed and liked, appreciate it. Is trolling good for anger management? Not at all, because you're just taking that anger and casting it out towards other people. That just elevates itself further. All right, welcome in, everybody. Who's got the next question? Let's dive into it. All right, I got my next coaching session in about 25 minutes, so we got some more time. Let's dive into some more stuff. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. What medical school did I go to? I didn't go to any medical school. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a doctor. Welcome in, everybody. Yeah, I'm not a medical professional. How are you, life coach? I haven't even lived life. I've been studying a lot of psychology, philosophy, spirituality over the last 7 years of my life, and I've made massive transformations for myself, and I've helped over 100 men and women in my coaching practice. So you're starting to be a medical interpreter. Very nice. Nakam, good question. How can I fight lust? Okay, fighting lust. Well, you have to understand that this is a part of your biology, right? You being attracted to people. So it's really about eliminating the stimuluses. Like in the modern day world, you're scrolling on Instagram, you're scrolling on TikTok. Your favorite like girls that dance on TikTok, if you're a guy, go after this live and block them immediately so they don't pop up anymore. Any recommendations? Start to block them. Go on your internet browser and block the P-Hub, right? Get rid of all that stuff. That'll be a good first starting place. Then you'll have the energy, and that energy can be used, believe it or not, for things that are not related to your sexuality. They can be used for creativity, for passion, for purpose, for building a business, being better at work, communicating better, diving into different things in your life, right? You can use that level of newfound energy that you're not just expelling all the time for other areas of your life. Did I stay in a Holiday Inn Express? I don't think I've ever done that. Let's see. I want to do everything at once ASAP, but I can't get myself. Nahid, this is a good question. I want to do everything ASAP, and I can't get myself to respect the budget plan. Well, yeah, here's the thing. You want everything at once. This is ambitious. Don't get rid of that. Because there's going to be a certain point where you have enough resources, you've been on your development journey for a long enough time where you can start to do everything at once. But at the starting place, you can't. Top 3 priorities. What are the top 3 things I want to get in place? Habit, purpose, passion, whatever it is. Start it to find a task that you do for just an hour a day or 15 minutes a day. That's going to get you a little bit closer to that. And that will actually show you and give you more motivation to continue to pursue this and build it up further, because right now you're in analysis paralysis. I want to do 10,000 things at once, so you end up doing nothing. Whereas you might even say to yourself, if I do this task for 15 minutes a day, I might as well do it for 0 minutes. I mean, what's 15 minutes really worth? Think about it like this. Even though 15 minutes in the gym isn't that much for a full workout, if you went to the gym for 15 minutes every single day for 365 days versus somebody who went and worked out 0 minutes, you're going to look and feel and transform an exceptionally more amount than that person that did nothing. Now, that being said, are you going to be six-pack abs and like a bodybuilder? No, but you're going to be doing a lot better. So these are things that you want to dive into. All right, I don't know the best on YouTube said, man, I was just scrolling and I came across you. I've been through a lot lately, and just seeing you talking to people about all their situations and struggles really hits different. Keep it up, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you very much. Appreciate you. Let's see. You have a joke. May. Hey, have a blessed night too, please, guy. How do I prevent being over-controlling in a relationship? Okay. If you're being over-controlling in a relationship, these are based on your insecurities. The question is, what is the insecurity specifically? And where is it coming up? In what situations do I start to overreact? In what ways do I start to communicate anger in a unproductive light? Do you want to do these reflection points? What are the insecurities that are coming up? You want to establish and be aware of what those are before you can interact with this on a deep basis and really start to improve it. So May, please, if you feel called to, shoot me a follow and shoot me a DM about where you feel like those insecurities are coming from and why you're being controlling. And then in the DMs, I'll be able to give you some actionable steps to start to help you out with this. Let's see. I want to do everything at once, all at once. Oh, we already dive into that question. Yeah, Nahid, if you want further assistance with that question, I already answered it. I don't know if you heard it. Shoot me a DM. Let's see. Hold up. How do I pretend to like my girlfriend? You don't like the way she talks. It's not interesting. This is not the right girl for you. Do not try and pretend to like your girlfriend. You're just disconnecting yourself further, and it's manipulative. So my advice to you, if that is truly the case, question if this is the girl for you. Let's see. Should cheating be forgiven? It should be forgiven, but that when I say cheating should be forgiven, it means like long term you have to forgive them so you don't hold on to that pain. Should it be forgiven in the sense of we can still be in a relationship? 99% of the time, no. Because you broke one of the most integrous pillars in a relationship, which is we're in a relationship because it's I care about you, you care about me. This is just the two of us. Nobody else is involved in this. And you broke that. I don't know if that can be forgiven. Let's see. How can I pretend? Oh, I already dived into that question. How to not keep on saying that I'll do it later and end up not finishing it on time when the deadline comes. To not keep saying you'll do it later, put it in your calendar to do it 11 in the morning tomorrow. Put it in your calendar to do in 15 minutes from now. Actually set an intention for this rather than just being an idea in your mind. That'll be a good starting place for you. What do I do if I feel well, I'm getting messed up. What do I do if I like feeling loved, but I can't provide love back? Why can't you I want you to look at the language that you're using, A7. Saying I want to feel loved, but I can't provide love back is a very disconnected philosophy. It's fundamentally not true. It is not true that you can't give love people back. The question is, what led you to this belief about yourself? Why do you feel like you can't give love? Why do you feel like you can't experience it? That's the question you want to be asking either me or yourself to reflect upon. Because it's not that you can't provide love, it's just that you might feel like you don't know how at this current moment in time, and that's a valid experience. Um, should a bi man be able to change partners from male to female without the female having an issue that he was once with the male? It's up to the individual. If they choose to not accept you for it, that's up to them, right? And if they do want to accept you, then they do. You can't control how other people feel about it. But you know, it's not really about should people do this. It's just what their heart shows them and what they want to do. I think he doesn't feel it for anyone around him. Well, I mean, yeah, in that case, if you don't feel love for people around you, well, then you got to find people who actually care about you. I've set my standard in love pretty high. Should I keep doing that? Well, pH depends on what standards you have in love. You could have standards, pH, let's say you're a girl, and you're like, my standard is dating. My standard in dating is he's 6'7" and he makes $1 billion a year, and like all these like unrealistic expectations. If those are your high standards, you might want to lower them. If your high expectations and standards in love is, I need them to be fully honest with me. I need them to be open. I need them to be emotionally intelligent. I need them to provide for me. I need them to provide emotional safety. If those are your pillars, keep them. But you got to see like where this is coming up. So pH, if you want to shoot me a follow and a DM listing me over like your standards for yourself, I'll let you know if they're too high or they're like high in a very good way. Does planning the next day the night before actually help avoid procrastination? Yes, 100%. This is what I do. I do it for myself all the time. I plan out my calendar. I'm doing this at 11 a.m. I have a session at this time. I'm eating at this time. It very much helps me avoid procrastination and get more stuff done. So yes, try that out for yourself. Let's see. I don't know said, do you think that when someone says something about you, when they're mad and outraged, is that what they really think about you, or was it just their worst thoughts about you? That's a good question. It depends on what it is. If you guys get angry at each other for the same thing all the time, and you just kind of find yourself not fully finishing the conversation, but just like making up, and then they start to have the same thoughts and say the same thing over and over again, they start to believe that. If this is a one-off case, it might just be, yeah, a deep, dark part of themselves that just came out and just created itself because they were so angry. But it really depends on the situation. Like, I always want to be chased and pursued, but when somebody does it, I hate it. Why? Okay, A7. I'll tell you exactly why. This is going to be really good. So you want people to chase you. You want people to pursue you in a relationship. But then when somebody does it, you hate it. This is exactly why. If somebody has to chase you and they have to then win you over, it's not out of love. It's not out of genuine care. It's out of manipulation. And out of, you have to prove this to me. It's out of expectation, not out of genuineness. So then you want true love, but the things you're doing to get that love don't give you true love. So then you start to feel disconnected from yourself and then hate when people do that. So that's a reason as to why this is happening. A7, you're asking some good questions. If you want to shoot me a follow and a DM about some of the stuff, I'd love to dive into it with you further. Nanika, I don't know, said, okay, thank you. Yeah, of course. Why do people run away from good people? It never made sense to me. I'll tell you exactly why, Nanika. I'm gonna open your eyes here. You ready for this? Why do people run away from good people? Never made sense to me. Because good people who are honest, committed, and ambitious, and have a vision for their life, have faith. Bad people, not necessarily bad people, but people who aren't ready to face themselves, when you interact with a good person, you see all of the parts of them that you wish you saw in yourself, yet you don't know how to create that for yourself, so then you run away from them. Because they remind you of a part of yourself that you don't know how to tap into. Makes you feel disconnected, makes you feel jealous, makes you feel envious. So then you run away. So Nanika, that's why people may run away from you if you're a good person. So that's one of the reasons. There's many potentials here. But Nanika, if that was helpful, feel free to shoot me a follow. Would love to see you back in here. We go live 7 days a week, guys. Any of you guys that are enjoying this live, we go live 7 days a week. Feel free to shoot me a follow. Would love to see you all back in here. Any advice for going cold turkey? So it depends on what that thing is, Butler, because some things you shouldn't go cold turkey on. What do I think? What do I do if I can't stop thinking about my past and it's making it hard to do my daily tasks? If you can't stop thinking about your past, it means you haven't actually fully faced it. You haven't forgiven yourself. You haven't processed this. That's why it keeps coming up and you're overthinking about it. So craft a little bit of time and space to go and investigate that, to sit with it, to feel it, to process it. And that'll allow you to have it not come up as much as it's been coming up. What are some basic standards in a relationship? Being as authentic as possible. When you talk about vision in your life, be authentic, meaning like it's actually something that's true to you. When you're talking about the future with your partner, you don't lie about that. You don't overhype it. You tell them what you actually believe. When you feel a certain way about something, you tell them. Do not avoid confrontation. When you disagree about something, make it known so you guys can actually interact with it together. Those are a few basic pillars, and making sure you have the same core values in your life, because that needs to be something that's good. How do you learn to love yourself? Very good question. All right, learning to love yourself. You have to see, oftentimes love is something that is already gifted within us of an experience. The question here is, if I don't feel like I don't love myself, where was the point that it was taken away from me? Who took it away from me? Who made me feel like I wasn't deserving of the love? That's a good place to start. Also, some more practical things to do to start loving yourself. Find hobbies, passions, and things that you want to work towards and actually do that in your life. And when you feel a deep level of connection internally to the things you're doing in the external world, that makes you feel more whole. And that part ignites a lot of love inside of you. Physical Touch said, I've been single for a long time and it's difficult for an open mind to guy boring a conversation. Physical, can you rephrase your question? It didn't make sense to me. That makes more sense. Thank you. Yeah, of course, Nanika. I just confessed to her yesterday, and she still hasn't responded to my text. Any advice on what to do? Drew, you mean you confessed to her on that you like her? That's not how you do it. You don't tell a girl that you like her. You flirt with her and see if she likes you back. You don't just outright say, oh, I like you. And that being said, if you're like 14 or 15 years old, yeah, sure, go ahead and do that. But if you're any older than that, this isn't the way to go about the dating dynamic. And if you're trying to figure out how to go about that dynamic, shoot me a DM. I'll give you some advice on it. Mary Jane used it as a crutch for 11 years. Okay, yeah, if you've been feeling like you've been using it as a crutch for 11 years, on that earlier 12th year, where did the deep pain start? Where did the disconnection occur? What are you avoiding? That you want to revisit, because that's why you started in the first place. It may not be the reason as to why you've continued it for so long, but it's a part of it, a part of the root. And if you can address that root, a lot of stuff on the surface starts to be a little bit more easier to address. So Butler, if you want to shoot me a follow and a direct message on what that disconnection you feel like it is, we can dive into it and point you in the right direction. I don't know said, oh wait, hold on, we have a few other questions. Scott, how does one work on imposter syndrome? Why do I feel like I'm fake when I know I'm not? That's a really good question. So I felt imposter syndrome when I first started my coaching practice because I'm in my early 20s, right? A lot of people who are life coaches are like 50 and 60. And a lot of people criticize me, whether it's on TikTok Live or YouTube Live. They're like, oh my God, dude, you're unqualified to do this. And then it starts, there's a part of my brain that's like, well, maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. But then there's other part that's like, well, I've helped over 100 people in my coaching practice transform their lives. So what's reality? Pay attention more to reality than you do the things and the people that don't see that, the thing that they see in you that you're building and pursuing. The people that don't see it within themselves, they're going to constantly try and bring you down, right? So that's a good place to start. And also sometimes imposter syndrome comes because it shows that you care. Imposter syndrome shows that you're like, hey, I'm taking accountability that I don't know everything yet, that I'm still growing, that I'm still learning, that I'm still advancing, and I don't feel super sufficient in this. Now, that may not be fundamentally true in the 100% case, but in some capacity, there's always more you could learn. So then it's like, well, if I don't know every piece of information that I could ever know on Earth, I guess I'm just a fraud. Well, then it's like, that's impossible because what human being that has ever existed before us has ever held that level of knowledge? It's impossible. So right, you're setting an expectation up for yourself that is almost, it's guaranteed to fail. And then let's see. Is there any way to stop myself from beating myself up about all the mistakes I've made? Because I always never let the mean things others that people say to me hit me, but to myself it always gets to me, and over time it feels more stuck. Okay. Yeah, if you're look, this is for most of us. You're your own biggest critic. You're the person who's creating the most pain. We suffer, what was it, Marcus Aurelius that said we suffer more in imagination than in reality? Analyze the thoughts that come up, your word choice, the language you choose of how you're talking about yourself, and start to shift that. For example, if you say, I'm not worth it, start to say, I am worth it. And then ask another question, which is like, why am I worth it? Oh, because I've done this and I've overcame this challenge in my life. And I'd be able to pursue this. I'm really good at that, right? Dive into all that stuff. We're diving into self-growth, relationships, spirituality. You guys are asking questions. All right, let's see. We got YouTube over here. TikTok over here. YouTube over there. Let's see. I'm gonna get back to you guys on TikTok. Why do I need a vacation? Why do I feel I need a vacation for others? What do you mean for others? Should I join the Venezuelan army to fight the U.S.? I'm not gonna suggest to do that, but if you want to join the military, feel free to do it. Do you have any advice do you have any advice on trying to find the right person? Absolutely. The first thing to do is find yourself. Who do I want to be? Who do I want to craft myself into? The dream version of my partner. How do I become such a dream person in of myself that when I meet them, they view me as that dream-like fairy tale, but we realize it's a reality. And we feel insecure, but loving each other at the same time, but it's such an expansive experience. So that's a good place to start. And Nautica, you've been asking some good questions. Feel free, if you haven't shot me a DM already, feel free to do so. I want to dive into some stuff in there. All right, I got 5 minutes until my next coaching session. So, but we're still going to answer a few more questions. Don't worry, guys. Let's see. Let me just start this so it's open on my screen. All right. Can I ask, when growing up with shame your whole life, does it affect you or how does it affect you deeply? Well, if you feel like you've grown up your entire life feeling shame, well, then you start to question, sometimes ask yourself, like, the things I'm doing now that are actually beneficial, do I deserve that? Am I worthy of it? Can I be successful? You start to question all these things, and it's like, oh, maybe I don't. But it's not true. So it usually manifests in thought patterns, sometimes self-sabotage. So when you start to do well for yourself, you find some way to mess it up. And then it's like, oh my God, how did I mess this up? And you didn't even know you were doing it, right? So that's a capacity and sometimes how this comes up. So you want to really you want to really address that. But V, if you want to shoot me a follow and a DM about this, walking me through the more in-depth details of why you feel like this shame was created for yourself in the first place, it'll give me a much better idea of where we can take this conversation. How I can help you out. Raven said alpha man. Thanks, Raven. I blocked the girl that really liked me because I genuinely can't feel it at my heart. Oh yeah, A7. We got a lot of stuff to dive into. That would really help. Actually, I have pinpointed the problems in 9 days sober. Not sure how to deal with it. Yeah, absolutely. We can dive into it. All right. Let's see. I can't keep up with one thing in my life. I keep changing my job because I get bored every 2 weeks. Well, here's the thing. Maybe you don't connect to the jobs, or maybe there's like, I feel like I can't commit to things, and I'm all over the place all the time. So there's a few different things you could dive into there. So Toggy, if you want to shoot me a follow and a DM about this, we could dive into it. All right, there's a lot of questions that I did not get to. If I did not get to your question, I apologize. Shoot me a follow. Shoot me a DM. If you don't want to shoot me a DM, we go live 7 days a week. So you can ask me tomorrow on TikTok Live. So YouTube and TikTok, feel free to shoot a subscribe. TikTok, feel free to shoot me a follow. I got to hop to my a session with one of my clients right now. So I appreciate you guys very much. Shoot me a DM if you got any further questions, and we shall dive into it. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys very much. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on the TikTok Live tomorrow, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace out. See you guys.